Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. Just wrapped up watching Miami Hurricanes, a little bit of practice, but the media day, it was great. Interviewing a lot of players. Head coach Jim Larrañaga had some things to say, and just want to get right into it. The biggest news of the day was Kyrie Huey, a backup center, had surgery on his left hand, which is a shooting hand, and he's going to be out for quite some time. So I asked Kyrie about it. He's not sure on a timetable. He didn't want to say it, but he felt like, as far as the surgery goes, some positive news. So he's definitely disappointed. He felt like he was in a good rotation as his backup center, kind of his backup, post guy. He was the main guy. I thought they were going to go with kind of a three-man rotation. So there with Brandon Johnson and Lynn Kidd. So he's out. He's going to be out for some time. I think they'll be okay, in non-conference schedules. Certainly they have to make some adjustments, but I was expecting Brandon Johnson and Lynn Kidd to handle a bulk of the minutes as it was. So certainly foul trouble is going to be a big thing. But, as far as who's going to step in that spot, right now I think it's going to be Paul Jobé. Kind of plays that stretch four, and I think he can kind of get in there at the four. They can put Brandon Johnson at the five and kind of rotate in that sense of, and again, a three-man rotation. But look, they do have Yusuf Basa'ama. He's a veteran guy, that's played a lot of basketball in terms of years of experience. So he's more of a five guy, but right now I would assume that it's going to be Jobé kind of stepping in there. Another little news thing, Matthew Cleveland, as people saw on the last VIP article I wrote from the last practice I attended, Matt Cleveland wasn't out there, and then again today. So I asked Matt at Media Day what's going on with him, seeing what the issue is there, and he said it's a little bit of an illness, just kind of working through some things there. And then once again, as I mentioned in the Basketball Buzz article for VIP subscribers, I mentioned, when Matt was out before, AJ Staten-McCray was in the lineup, and again today, that's what I saw with that first unit group with Nigel Pack, Jalen Blackman, AJ, and then also Brandon and Lynn. So as it stands right now, I think those will be the five, but I think Matt will be ready by the time the season starts, which is again just right around the corner. So October 30th, exhibition game, November 1st, one of those secret scrimmages. They're going to go at USF. And then they have the regular season that starts off on November 4th. So I would expect Matt to be ready by then. And, I think that'll kind of slot accordingly. But I still expect, once Matt goes back in there for AJ, that'll be the five that they go with to start the season. Kind of a little bit of a rundown, starting with Nigel Pack. Had a chance to talk with him for quite a bit. And, one of the things I like asking with the veteran guys is to get their perspective on the team with where they're at right now, heading into a season. So I asked Nigel his thoughts, particularly on defense, because Coach Larrañaga has mentioned defense needs to improve, and this team is going to be built on its offense and the versatility that it has with all five guys out there being able to put the ball in the basket, and they've been able to do that in some scrimmages, inter-squad scrimmages so far. But they want to be able to be better defensively. And Nigel said the one thing that he's reminded by was that Final Four season. Not very good defensively at the beginning of the year, non-conference wise, but as the season went on, they were able to do some things defensively, and they were able to kind of stop some teams, and certainly during that Final Four run, defensively. Now, they were still better offensively, and that's okay. You can have a strength or a weakness there, and they're going to be built, again, like with this year's team, offensively. But he felt like defensively that they can get to that, and that's kind of his mindset. Another thing Nigel said was he's really paid a lot of attention in the offseason at getting stronger. He felt like he got away from it a little bit, and it's kind of affected him in terms of his knee issues that he's had here at UM, particularly last season. And he feels like he's stronger, feels healthy. He dropped 29 points in an inter-squad scrimmage there on Saturday. So that was a great thing to hear out of him. He said he was just kind of making shots at different levels, kind of really working to be a three-level scorer, and he certainly had a big day there. Some other scrimmage stats that Larrañaga mentioned. He said Jaleel Bethia, and I do want to say his name correctly. I heard him during high school. That's how he pronounced it. I asked him today. I just want to confirm that it is Jaleel Bethia. It is a proper pronunciation of his last name. So I'm going to make sure I have it correct from here on out. I always want to get guys and their first name or their names correct as clearly as possible. So Jaleel, 7 rebounds, good from a guard spot. Not surprising. He was able to rebound at the guard spot in college. Feels like he's added about 20 pounds of bulk, so he feels stronger since when he was playing in the 170 range in high school. So he feels good, getting used to the physicality. Some other notes too. Lynn Kidd, another really good performance. Coach Larrañaga said 11 of 12 or 11 of 13 from the floor in the scrimmage. Just a really efficient player. And I asked Lynn about that. And obviously, Lynn's baskets and attempts are coming inside the paint close to the basket. But I remember asking DeAndre Jordan about this. He was another guy, just a really efficient player in the NBA there. asking Lynn what kind of secret is and what's been kind of helpful for him to have this kind of success. And he says he works on his shots, and not just working on shots there inside the basket, inside the paint, but he really concentrates on game shots. And for anyone that's heard a coach say this, they always tell players to practice, the shots that you're going to take in games. For example, Lynn's probably not, or he's not spending a lot of time shooting three-pointers, for example. Work on the shots that you are going to work on and that you're going to actually apply in the games. And Lynn really takes that to heart. And then I also ask him, because I watch him out there, he's going off the left and right shoulder with hooks there, and he says, yeah, he feels like it's very important for a post player to be able to score left or right-handed, there in the basket. So I think people are going to be really excited about him, what he's going to bring to the team, not only from an interior scoring perspective, but his rebounding. I don't think he's a big shot blocker, but I think he is going to have a presence there, a nice athletic big there in the center, and I think it's going to help the guards out as well with having that post presence inside the paint. Going back to defense, I had a good talk with AJ Staten-McRae, 6'5" guard transferring over, and he's going to be a guy defensively, whether he's starting, if he has to go in there for Matt, if Matt's not ready, but, coming off the bench as a key guy as it stands right now with how the lineup is. Although Coach did mention, the thing about Jalen Blackman there in the starting lineup in the guard in the backcourt, he did say, they're just smaller in the backcourt and he wouldn't prefer it. So maybe Jaleel gets going there with his athleticism at that 2-guard spot, or AJ. Maybe AJ's a guy to pay attention to, as things goes on. But I asked AJ kind of about his two-way ability. He's a guy that can shoot threes, kind of some mid-range, some offensive game going to the basket. But defensively, I think he's going to be a good defensive guard for this team. And I asked him about it. He said, look, that's kind of goes back to growing up in South Florida, just having that dog mentality, that toughness. So I think you'll like what you see out of AJ in terms of, some all-around game, some two-way play out of him. With Jalen Blackman, with such a big-time scorer last year at Stenson, over 20 a game, talking with him, he certainly likes being in this offense, the guard-heavy offense, and I was watching him run some offensive sets like I did last practice. And look, there are some absolutely designed plays that they're working on to give the guard some shots, and I think that's going to be very helpful, and that's how Coach Larrañaga likes it. They'll run their basic offense, and essentially whatever pops open, for shots, we'll let it kind of generate organically in a sense. And Nigel Pack has talked about that, just like it's really important for this team that it has good scores, that they make sure they're getting a quality shot or the best shot, so maybe pass up a good shot for a great shot. And I know Eric Spoelstra with the Heat talks about that quite a bit as well, just remembering and hearing him talk about that. But with Jalen, he just feels like with the guards in the offense, he feels like he can fit in well. He likes the freedom as well. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to certainly have his opportunities to put the ball in the basket, and then that's going to be a key for him, to be able to find his spot in the offense, his role, be able to make shots, particularly from three-point range. And just lastly, a note on Brandon Johnson, talking with him, because to me, he's arguably the biggest key, or one of the biggest keys for this team, because of everything he's going to bring to the team at that 4 spot, being able to knock down threes, step out, hit threes, defend. I think he's going to be a good rebounder for this team. Also being able to play out of him in the post and his distributing ability. And I asked him about some of that stuff, and not just his offensive game, but he feels like it's important to be able to do any of the small things or all the things that takes to win a game. So pay attention to that. Maybe it's not always going to be his scoring ability that impacts the game, but just how he's impacting the game in a variety of different ways. So I just think those guys are so important for teams, and certainly I know the staff is glad to have them, and they understand it's important. So definitely drop in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this team, what you're thinking, and also thanks for watching. Hopefully have a good rest of the day, and take care.